Good evening, PEP scholars. Welcome to another live PEP class. Today is Tuesday. We are going to dive into some more ability test questions, knowing full well that we are 3 days away from the PEP ability test. So we're going to get right into it. Allow me to remind you of our schedule of live classes. Here we go. Hello CSEC math students, I know you are busy preparing for your math tests and your CSEC exams coming up. I have a very important question to ask you. Do you like my new hat? Thank you. Now another important question. Have you ever gotten a math problem wrong simply because of making one little mistake? I'm sure you have, as thousands of other students have. Now in this series, we're going to be looking at the common mistakes that students make with all the topics in CSEC Math. We're going to look at the common errors, demystify everything. Make sure you watch every video in this series so that you can avoid making those mistakes. So stay tuned. Hello scholars. Did you know that most times when students get problems wrong in mathematics is as a result of one single error or one mistake? Well, this is absolutely true, and we're going to be looking at the common errors that students make in the different topics in mathematics. If we know the errors beforehand, we can certainly avoid making them. Are you ready? Come on, take my hand. All right, so here we go. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to invite my scholars who are backstage. To join me. All right, good evening, scholars. Those who are asking for the link, here it is. All right, so far we have Jaden, we have John, we have Amari. Welcome, scholars.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Okay, so let's share the screen. Good night, Amari. All right, so I'm seeing my scholars in the chats taking their places. Adina, Chrissy K. I'm seeing Latoya. I'm seeing Alexia. Hi, Alexia. Hi, Longot. Longot said, Miss, you got this. Yes, I got this, Longot. Zoe, Kareem. All right, so let's see who else is there. Madison is there. Good evening, Madison.
Good evening, Miss.
Okay. Are you scholars seeing the ability test on the screen? Can you see the PEP ability test, verbal reasoning?
Yes, Miss, I can see.
All right. So PEP ability test, verbal reasoning, and it was prepared by yours truly. So Jaden, I'd like you to read the screen. Jaden.
Sorry about that, Miss. Number one, for items 1 to 4, select the word that best completes the statement. Number one, sawdust is the dash as wool is the sheep. For items 1 to 4, select the word that best completes the statement. Number one, sawdust is to dash as wool is the sheep. A, dirt, B, lumber, C, dust mite, or D, ground. A, dirt, B, lumber, C, dust mite, or D, ground. Miss, I have B, lumber,
Because.
because, because wool, the relationship between wool and sheep is that you get wool when you shear a sheep. And when
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't think shear is the right term, but when you like,
Yes, it is.
when you shear lumber, so wood, it release, it makes sawdust.
Okay. All right. You're correct, Jaden. Jer, good evening. Can you hear me, Jer?
The screen frozen. I can't. Oh, miss, the screen was frozen, miss. I couldn't open the mic.
Okay.
Good night, miss.
Good night. All right. So Jaden said lumber, and that is correct. And over in the chat, I'm seeing Kareem says lumber. Zoe also says lumber. So far, those are the answers I'm seeing. Hold on. Oh, Lord. Strength. All right. Are you still seeing the screen?
Miss, I'm not seeing the screen. Neither am
Hold on. Can you see it now? Yes, no, can you see it?
Yes, miss, you can. Miss, I can see. What?
Miss,
You
I
can
see
see
it.
it. Okay. Madison, can you read question 2, please?
Okay, Miss. Number 2. Crocodile is to as whale is to A, fish, B, bird, C, dolphin, or D, mammal. Number 2. Crocodile is to reptile as whale is to A, fish, B, bird, C, dolphin, or D, mammal. Miss, I say D, mammal because a crocodile is a type of reptile and a whale is a mammal. Or a crocodile is a reptile and a whale is a mammal.
All right, that's correct, Madison. All right. Okay, so Cashmark, Alice Langot say mammal as well. Shalicia, good evening. Shalisa also says mammon. John, number 3.
Okay, miss. Siberia is the North Pole as New Zealand is the dash. A. Tropical. B. South Polar. C. Temperate. D. North Temperate. Number 3. Siberia is the North Polar as New Zealand is the dash. A. Tropical. B. South Polar. C. South Temperate. D. North Temperate. Um, so let's
So
see
we're
if
talking about climatic zones. Does anyone else want to take this? Madison, is your mic working? Go ahead, Madison.
Yes, miss, it's working. I just choose to type in the chat. Miss,
Okay.
I'd say south temperate because it's at the south of the earth. It's more at the south, but it's not the south pole.
That is
It's
correct.
not
New
on the south
Zealand
pole.
is a temperate land and it's in the southern hemisphere. So it's south temperate. Okay. Amari, question 4.
number 4. Decrease is to decrease to increase as expand is to. Number 4. Decrease is to increase as expand is to. A. Bigger. B. Round. C. Size. D. Contract. A. Bigger. B. Round. C. Size. D. Contract. Miss, I would say D. Contract. Miss, I say that because decrease is to increase. Miss, they're doing the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And miss, expand is the opposite of contract.
Okay. That's correct. So Madison also says contract. Alisa, Kashmar, Kareem say contract. So we're looking at opposites. And remember, we have to maintain the same pattern, the same relationship that the first two have. We have to maintain the same type of relationship. So we could not have said bigger, because even though expand mean to get bigger in a sense, but we're not looking for synonyms because the relationship between decrease and increase is antonym, not synonym. Jer, read what's on the screen for me.
Okay, miss. For items 5 to 8, identify the opinion that does not belong to the group. 5A,
Option.
to the
The
option that does
option.
not belong to the group. 5A, minuend. B,
Minuend. Minuend.
minuend. B, subtrahend. C, sum. D, difference. For items 5 to 8, identify the option that does not belong to the group. 5A, minuend. B, subtrahend. C, sum. D, difference. Miss, I say C, sum.
Just go right ahead and tell me why. You know I'm going to ask why.
Miss, I say why? Well, I don't know the meaning for minuend and subtrahed, but because of the prefix of the min and the sub, Miss, I can say it is taking away something.
You wanna give us a quick check and give us a definition for minuend and subtrahend?
Miss, minuend. Minuend means a quantity or number from which another is being subtracted. And subtrahend means a quantity or number to be subtracted from another, miss.
All right. So the So the minuend is the bigger number. Well, at this level, it's usually the bigger number from which we're taking another number, and the subtrahend is the smaller number that we're taking from the minuend. So Jerry is saying the three words have something in common. They're talking about subtraction: minuend, subtrahend, and difference. So the odd one out, or the one that does not belong, is sum. Over in the chat, a lot of persons have identified sum as the answer. Chrissy K, Nia, Alisa. Alisa didn't write the answer, just write number 5. Oh, she's saying sum. Langot is saying sum. Victor, hi Victor, welcome. Chrissy K. And Cashmark is explaining that sum is the add and the others have to do with taking away. All right, so we're good to go. Okay. All right, so that was Jer's question. So we're back to Jaden, number 6, Jaden.
Okay, Miss. Number 6. Product, add-in. Number 6. A, product. B, add-in. C, sum. Or D, plus. A, number 6. A, add-in.
A, product.
A, product. B, add-in. Addend.
You're correct, addend.
It's glitching out for me, Miss. Oh, it's up now. C, sum, or D, plus. Miss, I have a product because addend, sum, and plus have to do with addition, while product is multiplication.
Okay. Now, what is an addend?
Or which is added to another.
All right. So when we're adding the two numbers or however amount of numbers that we're adding, each of them is called the addend. All right. So Jaden is correct. And Madison also says addend. Cashmark says he's not sure what product is. You want to tell him what it is, Jaden? What's the product?
Miss, the product is the number that is made from multiplying two numbers.
Okay. So we get the product when we multiply two numbers. So for number 6, the answer is A, product. Langot said A, Cashmark, Chrissy K, Kareem, Victor said B. That's incorrect, Victor. Alexia says A. Janaya says A. Nia says A, product is out. Hi, Jojo F. How you doing? And Nia is explaining that product means the answer you get when you're multiplying. So, right, that's correct, Nia. Zoe says product. Kareem, Melissa, Janice. All right, Chrissy K says quotient. Chrissy K is giving Chrissy K, you're way ahead of us. All right, so the answer for number 6 is A, product. John, number 7.
Okay, Miss. Number 7. A, product. B, multiplicand. Oh, Miss, can you pronounce that right, multiplicand. C, quotient. D, multiplier. Number 7. A, product. B, multiplicand. C, quotient. D, multiplier. Miss, I would say the quotient, Miss. Miss, all the rest means when you're multiplying.
So the others have to do with multiplying. What's a multiplicand?
It's a multiplicand.
Give me a quick definition, John. Give me a quick definition. What's multiplicand?
Multiplicand, a quantity which is to be multiplied by another, the multiplier.
Okay, so it's saying the multiplicand is the number at the top And the multiplier is the number that you're multiplying it by, usually put at the bottom. And when we multiply those two numbers together, we get the product. So what's the quotient? So John is saying
The quotient
quotient
is
is what's quotient?
okay, Miss. The quotient is when you divide it.
Oh, you didn't
It
say
has to
quotient
do.
was out?
Yes, yes, I did.
Oh, because
Miss,
a
the
while ago I
quotient
thought I
as
already said.
Miss. Okay,
Okay.
Miss. The quotient has to do it dividing, Miss.
Has
And
what to
what's
do
the
with
quotient?
dividing? What do you mean it has to do with it? What is it
Okay,
in
Miss.
dividing?
Miss is a result obtained by dividing one quantity by another.
Okay, so it's the
Miss is
answer
the
you
answer
get.
that you got.
Yes, the result or the answer that you get when you divide two numbers. Amari, number 8, please. Oh, hold on. Let me see who's. Let me check my chat because I hold on before my scholars in the chat start to tell me that I'm not reading their answers. Because okay, so for number 7, so let's see what the scholars in the chat are saying. So we have determined C is the answer for number 7. C, quotient. Chrissy K says C. Hi, Ezra. How are you doing? Ezra says product. Not for number 8. Number 7, Ezra, no, it's quotient. Langot says quotient. Cashmark. Nia. Zoe. Janice. Kareem, you see how brilliant my scholars are. Victor, all of these persons are saying quotient. Zach. Cashmark, we just gave the definition for quotient. Hope you heard that. Cashmark was asking, what is the quotient? Alexia, number 7, C, correct. Zach is saying quotient. The link was posted, Those who are asking for the link, just scroll back a little. All right. And Nia is saying the quotient is the answer you get when you divide, right? Cashmark. Janaya said C, quotient. MB. And Zach also explains the quotient is the answer you get when you divide two numbers. All right, so now persons start giving me answers for number 8, but I want Amari first to read number 8 and then tell me what he thinks the answer is.
Number 8. A difference, B quotient, C dividend, D divisor. Number 8. A difference, B quotient, C dividend, D divisor. Miss, I would say A difference. Miss, I say that because Miss quotient has something to do with dividing, Miss.
I don't want you to tell me it has something to do with it. What does it have to do with it? What aspect of division is the quotient?
Um,
When you say it has something to do with it,
Miss,
that's
Miss,
vague.
Miss, Miss is when you divide it. It's when you divide it the quantity.
Is it the quantity that you're dividing? That's the quotient.
Yes, Miss.
Is it the number that you're dividing the quantity by? Is it the answer? What part of the division is the quotient?
Miss, you're going to divide. You're going to obtain by dividing.
Is it the original number that you're dividing? Is it the number you're dividing it by? Or is it the answer that you get? Which one of them is the quotient?
Miss, the answer.
Correct. That's correct. So what is the dividend?
Miss,
Does anyone know what the dividend is, or you want to give me a quick definition?
Miss, I looked it up and it says a sum of money. Wait, a number to be divided by another number.
Okay, and what is the divisor?
Miss, the divisor is Miss, that is a a number by which another number is to be divided.
All right, so the original and usually bigger number or biggest of the three would be the dividend, and we're dividing it by the divisor, and the answer that we get is the quotient. So Amari is saying those three are different aspects of the division operation, and so the difference, which we know is the result of subtracting, so that's the odd one out here. All right, Jer, please read.
For items 9 to 12, select the most appropriate word to complete each sentence. 9. Because the vehicle came to a very dash stop, we were almost thrown from our seats. Uncomfortable, abrupt, easy,
Letters, please, Jer. Letters.
A. Uncomfortable, B. Abrupt, C. Easy, D. Downhill. For items 9 to 12, select the most appropriate word to complete each sentence. Because the vehicle came to a very dash stop, we were almost thrown from our seats. A. Uncomfortable, B. Abrupt, C. Easy, D.
All right, so while Jer is thinking about that, so for question 9, for question 8, so we're saying the answer was different. And let me see all those who got. So Cashmark got it, Chrissy got it, Alisa, Nia, MB, everybody's getting difference. A, Janaya, Zoe, Vanessa said bigger. No, that's wrong. Oh, that's not for A. Remember, students, to put the number that you're responding to. All right, so MB says difference, Kareem difference, Janice, Alexia, Victor, Langot, okay. All right, so Jer, are you ready? Have you selected your answer? Number 9. Does anyone else want to give their opinion on number 9? Shalicia, can you hear me?
Yes, Miss.
Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Miss.
Okay. Anyone else want to say? Madison, what do you say for number 9?
A miss for number 9, I say abrupt because abrupt is a synonym of sudden. And when the vehicle makes a sudden stop, because you were just moving, when it makes a stop, it kind of pushes you forward. So if it made a very sudden stop, you'd almost get thrown out of your seat.
All right, so that's correct. Abrupt means sudden. So uncomfortable is kind of close, but it's not just uncomfortable. If you are going to be thrown, almost thrown from your seat, that's not just uncomfortable, right? So it is something sharper than that we're looking for. So it's abrupt. Shalicia, number 10, please. So Nia
Okay,
also
Miss.
said abrupt. Go ahead, Shalicia. I was waiting.
Number 10. Mom likes when the house is dashed, especially when visitors are coming by. Number 10. Mom likes when the house is dashed, especially when visitors are coming by. A. Noisy. B. Haunted. C. Immaculate. D. Sleepy. D. Sleepy. A. Noisy. B. Haunted. C. Immaculate. Or D. Sleepy. Miss, I say C. Immaculate.
Explain why. What's the meaning of the
Miss,
word immaculate?
Miss, immaculate means like something that's untidy.
Okay, and clean, neat, tidy, well put together. All right, so why would you choose that one? What is it from the context? So remember, for this question, we look for context clues. What is it in the sentence that makes us lean towards that word? All right, so what made you choose immaculate?
Miss, I chose immaculate. Miss, I chose immaculate because when visitors are coming by, you want your house to be clean
Right.
and tidy. So that's
That's
why I chose immaculate.
all right. Why not haunted though?
Why would you want to go in a haunted house?
Some people
What would be
listen. So listen, Shalicia. Some of the scholars yesterday, see, they were saying they're going on a safari and they were eager to go, having heard that the lions had mauled the villagers. So we have some scholars on here who are very, um, they're adventurous and they're brave. So some of them might want the house to be haunted. Who knows? They might appreciate that excitement. So let's see who said immaculate. You're correct, Shalisa. Madison said immaculate. Okay, so let's see. So that's what, number 10? Okay, so we have Chrissy K, Zach said immaculate, Zoe, Nia, Jonathan, Janice, Nyla, Marie, Mr. Turtle is back. Hi, Mr. Turtle. Victor, Kareem, Langot, Alexia, MB. Thank you, Zoe, for reminding them to put the number beside the answer. Thank you, Zoe. And Nia is thanking Zoe for the reminder. All right, so Natasha also said C. So C is correct. So even though we know we have some daredevil scholars in the building, most of us are saying, you know what, if the visitors are coming, you're going to want to make a good impression. And so you want, or our mom at least would, and she wants the house to be spick and span, clean, neat, tidy. All right, so whose question was that again, Shalisa? All right, so it's Madison's turn. Number 11.
Number 11. The blank neighbor wanted to know the private business of everyone in the community. A. Curious. B. Noisy. C. Private. Or D. Inquisitive. 11. The blank neighbor wanted to know the private business of everyone in the community. A. Curious. B. Noisy. C. Private. Or D. Inquisitive. Besides, say inquisitive because he's not just being curious, he's being more inquisitive because he doesn't really have to know the
Mm-hmm.
private business of everyone in the community.
Right. So Chrissy K is saying that she was having the same kind of dilemma, not sure whether to choose curious or inquisitive. And Chrissy K is saying, as far as she can see, they mean the same thing. Do they mean the same thing though? As Madison's pointing out, they have the same. They are similar in meaning, but one is more intense. To be curious, yeah, you want to know the thing, but not necessarily, um as in Jamaica we said, to fast in a people business. You're just interested in gaining knowledge and knowing how things work, but it don't mean you're gonna go out of your way to pry in people's private business. That's taking it to another level, which is the inquisitive level. When you're inquisitive, you go out of your way and you want to know things that you don't necessarily need to know. All right, so for those who said inquisitive, That's the one we're going with, right? So Madison's correct. She said inquisitive, and Nia also. Mr. Turtle is saying neighbor is spelled wrong. You know, Mr. Turtle, I normally spell it with the OUR because, you know, we're from the British system. And so that's how I was taught, and that's how I actually had it. But I've been trying lately to break away from the British spellings because I that's how I normally spell the words, with the OU instead of just the O. But it's not that it's incorrectly spelled, it's just that there are two ways of spelling it, right, Mr. Turtle? So both are accepted. All right, so for number 11, we're saying inquisitive. Cashmark said that, Jonathan. And Zoe says it means having or showing an interest in learning things. That's curious. But inquisitive takes it to another level, and Maceline agrees. Janice says D. So what was D again? Right, inquisitive D. Nyla, it's not a typo. It can be spelled like that. Alexia says A, curious. So some persons were leaning towards curious, but inquisitive is a stronger thing, which means, you know, you want to know things you don't necessarily need to know. MB is saying D, Natasha A. So some persons were really torn between curious and inquisitive. All right, so Langot, inquisitive. Victor, curious. Right, so that one was a close call, but we're definitely going with inquisitive. John, number 12.
Okay, Miss. Uh, Number 12. Because of his crops of yams yielded an abundant harvest last year, Farmer Eric was able to send his son to Brownstown Market with the dash A ration, B surplus, C scarcity, D subsistence. Number 12. Because his crops of yams yield an abundant harvest last year, Farmer Eric was able to send his son to Brownstown Market with the dash A ration, B surplus, C scarcity, D subsistence. Miss, I would say B surplus, Miss, because surplus means an excessive amount. Miss, it means a supply that you have left over. You have more than how much you're supposed to have.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, and what from the context tells us that?
Miss, because it says because of his crops of yam yielded an abundant harvest last year, Miss. The abundant.
Hmm?
Miss the Miss the part that says because his crops of yams yielded an abundant harvest last year.
Okay. Right. So that is B, surplus. Okay, Amari.
Number for item 13 to 16, select the word that is necessary that is a necessary component of the word in bold type. Number 13, photosynthesis. For items 13 to 6, select the word that is a necessary component of the word in bold type. Number 13, photosynthesis. A. Darkness. B. Nitrogen. C. Oxygen. D. Chlorophyll. A. Darkness. B. Nitrogen. C. Oxygen. D. Chlorophyll.
So which one is a necessary component? Which one do you have to have in order for photosynthesis to occur?
Miss,
So when we're asking, so the question that asks for the necessary component, you're thinking, which of these things must be there in order for the word in bold to exist? Who wants to help Amari with
Miss,
this
I would
one?
say, Miss,
Oh,
can
you have your answer.
you hear
Okay,
me?
go ahead, Amari. Go ahead, Amari.
Miss, I would say chlorophyll.
Because,
Miss, Miss, I would say because chlorophyll, Miss, it's a green pigment,
mm-hmm,
and
that,
Miss, it is responsible for um absorption of lightness
okay,
to
that's correct.
and Miss, it provides energy for photosynthesis.
That's correct, Amari. Madison also says photosynthesis. So a lot of persons in the chat are
Miss, you
saying,
mean chlorophyll.
sorry, chlorophyll. That's what I meant, you know. All right. A lot of persons in the chat are saying oxygen for number 13. Um, plants don't need oxygen for photosynthesis to occur. Plants need carbon dioxide. So all those who are saying oxygen, that's not it. So Macelin says no, chlorophyll is the color of the leaves, so therefore it wouldn't be a process. Chlorophyll gives the leaves their green color, but it does have a function, Macelin, which is to absorb the sunlight that is needed for photosynthesis to take place. So Cashmark also says chlorophyll. A lot of persons are saying oxygen. Remember, primarily oxygen is released during the process of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is what the plants really need in order for photosynthesis to take place in terms of the gases, not oxygen. All right, so chlorophyll is the one, it's the green pigment in the leaves contained within the chloroplast of the leaf, and the function is to absorb the sunlight that gives the photosynthesis the energy needed. Jer number 14.
Number 14, fraction. A, polygon. B, line. C, equal parts. D, circle. 14, fraction. A, polygon. B, line. C, equal parts. D, circle.
All right. What must be there in order for us to have a fraction?
Miss, equal parts.
That is correct. So we must be able to divide whatever the object is. It doesn't have to be a polygon. It can be, but doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a circle or a line, but it must have equal parts. All right. And a lot of persons are saying equal parts. So that's C for number 14. Equal parts. Nyla, Kashmar, Maceline, Janice, Nia. Cashmark is saying it depends on what type of fraction. Why Cashmark? Why does it depend on the type of fraction? Victor also says C. All fractions must have equal parts. In order for us to compare the parts, they must first be equal. Shelley, stay on number 15.
Okay, Miss. Number 15, 15, river. A, fresh flowing water. B, river fish. C, brackish water. D, mermaid. A, fresh flowing water. B, river fish. C, brackish water. D, mermaid. Miss, I say A, fresh flowing water.
Okay. Okay, so Cashmark is saying the reason he said that is there are improper fractions and mixed fractions. But even the improper and mixed fractions, cash mark, they are still divided into equal parts. So the mixed fraction will have a whole number, and then the fractional part must be divided into equal parts. And remember, the improper fraction is just another way of writing a mixed number, right? So the fraction part of it, they're all divided into equal parts, and then we decide how many parts out of that we're going to shade. All right, Shelly, so you are correct. Madison also says fresh flowing water. So a river is a body of fresh flowing water. So it's fresh water flowing from the source to the mouth, from the hilly area to the sea. All right, so Chrissy K says fresh flowing water, that's A. Mr. Turtle says A. Cash mark A. Nyla, Alexia, Janice says A. Zoe is coming in with her answer for number 14. She's saying line. No, a fraction doesn't have to have a line. Remember, we can write a decimal fraction. That's a type of fraction. Nia, A. Fresh flowing water. Maceline, A. Victor, A. And Julie also says A. So that's a river is a body of fresh flowing water. Madison, number 16.
16. Rectangle. A. 4 obtuse angles. B. 2 right angles and two obtuse angles. C. 4 reflex angles. Or D. 4 right angles. 16. Rectangle. A. 4 obtuse angles. B. 2 right angles and 2 obtuse angles. C. 4 reflex angles. Or D. 4 right angles. Miss, I say 4 right angles because the rectangle must all the angles must measure up to 360 degrees, and a right angle is 90 degrees, and 90 times 4 is 360.
That's correct. So a rectangle must have 4 right angles. Let's see who got that right. So we have, so for number 16, 4 right angles, that's D, Chrissy K, Nyla, Julie, Nia, Kareem, and Janice says D. All right, so we're almost there. We have 4 questions to go, and we're back to John.
Okay, miss. For items 7, identify what comes next in the sequence. Number 17. Elementary, primary, and secondary. For items 17 to 20, identify what comes next in the sequence. Number 17. Elementary, primary, secondary. A. Preschool. B. Kindergarten. C. Tertiary. D. Preparatory. Number 17. Preschool. B. Kindergarten. A. Preschool. B. Kindergarten. C. Tertiary. Okay. D. Preparatory. Miss, I would say C. Tertiary.
What does tertiary mean?
Oh, tertiary. Okay. Miss, tertiary. Tertiary. Miss, tertiary means third in order or level.
Mm-hmm. Third in order or level. Is that all you see?
Yes, miss.
So we're so
uh,
based on the options given, we're talking about education
college.
based on the options, right? Based
Yes,
on the statement given. All right.
miss.
So the levels there, the elementary level would be um, from, let's say, ages what we would call kindergarten. Then so elementary and kindergarten would be on par, and so or what we in Jamaica call basic school, and then you go on to the primary school. The secondary school will be on par with high school, and then you go on to college or university, um, which would be the tertiary level. All right, so everybody is everybody is agreeing with that in the chat. I think Madison says tertiary. So Chrissy K says tertiary, and tertiary is what? C. Tertiary. Macelyn, Nia, Janice, Nyla, Victor, Kareem, Natasha, Zoe, Chrissy K. Chrissy K. Chrissy K, stop. Chrissy K, she always giving me the answer for the next question. All right, so this is the tertiary level. Amari, number 18.
Okay. Number 18. Egg, embryo, tadpole, dash.
Embryo.
Embryo. Number 18. Egg, embryo, tadpole, A. Frog, B. Mosquito, C. Larvae, D. Grubs. A. Frog, B. Mosquito, sorry, miss, B. Mosquito, C. Larvae, D. Grubs. Miss say A. Frog. Miss because a tadpole, miss it starts off as an egg, then it turns to
Mhm.
an embryo. Miss. I know that a tadpole it's a baby frog, miss. It doesn't have legs, but it's still a
Okay.
frog.
Okay, so that's B. That's A, right? All right, so number
Yes.
18 is A. Gabby says B for number 18. B is what? Mosquito? No, tadpoles are much, much bigger than mosquitoes. Um, Not the mosquito at all. So let me see who else has frog. Julie has frog, Nyla, Mr. Turtle, Janice, MB, Kashmar, Nia, Natasha. All these persons had frog. All right, so Jer, you're doing number 19. Okay, so seems like we lost Jer. Shalicia, number 19.
Okay, Miss. Number 19, evaporation, condensation, precipitation. Number 19, evaporation, condensation, precipitation. A. Transpiration. B. Infiltration. C. Sedimentation. D. Photosynthesis. A. Transpiration. B. Infiltration. C. Sedimentation. D. Photosynthesis.
Anyone else wants to try while Shalicia thinks about it?
Miss, transpiration.
What is transpiration? Give us a quick definition, Shalicia. Do you have access to a dictionary or Somewhere you could give us the meaning from? Anyone? Can you give us a definition for transpiration?
Transpiration. This transpiration of a plant or leaf, the exhalation of water vapor.
So when plants lose water vapor through their pores, and Madison says when plants breathe through their pores. Yeah, you're not wrong, Madison. So it's water vapor they're losing through the pores. So evaporation, I think we all know evaporation would be so all of these have to do with the water cycle, where we have open bodies of water, the sea, the lake, the river, the dams, the ponds, and the heat from the sun causes the water to evaporate. And then we have condensation, where that water vapor condenses to form clouds. And then we have precipitation, where the moisture in the air, depending on the latitude, depending on the temperature, it falls back to the earth, whether in the form of rain or snow or sleet or hail, or just exists as fog or something of that sort. But it's moisture in the air that falls back to the earth. That's precipitation. So what would happen after that? What would be the next step? So we're talking about the water vapor in the air in different forms, and then it becomes liquid or in some cases solid ice, but it falls back to the earth. And of course, when it gets to the earth, it will melt if it was in the solid form. So what would happen after the precipitation comes back to the earth? Which one of those processes would occur? What is sedimentation? We know what photosynthesis is, so that's where plants make food. But what would happen to the moisture itself, to the snow, the rain, the sleet, the hail, when it falls to the ground? Madison says infiltration. You want to tell us what that is, Madison? Well, give us a definition. Look for it.
Okay, Miss. Miss,
So while Madison, go ahead, Madison.
it says infiltration is the downward movement of water through the land surface.
So it's water seeping into the ground, basically, right? So you are correct. So infiltration is when the all that moisture from precipitation, whether rain, snow, whatever, it comes on the land and it starts to seep into the ground. And Nia is giving us a definition for transpiration. Also, Nia says it's a process that involves loss of water vapor through the stomata or the pores of plants. Of a plant or leaf, the exhalation of water vapor through the stomata. I believe that's the one Shalicia had given us also. So we're saying infiltration, which is B. For number 19, the answer is B. Infiltration, or the precipitation starts seeping into the land, and is going to, some of it will go to form underground rivers, will go to form settle in crevices of rocks and so on, form springs, all of those things. So who got that question? Shalicia? Madison? Shalicia. So Madison is your question now. You're closing us out. Question 20.
Okay, miss. Question 20. 125, 64, 27, 8. A, 5, B, 4, C, 10, or D, 1. 20. 125, 64, 27, 8. A, 5, B, 4, C, 10, or D, 1. Miss, 1 second, let me work it out.
Okay. In the meantime, if anyone else wants to tell us, wants to share their answer and the reason why they chose that, just indicate to me. All right, so Nia gave us a definition for sedimentation is the process of settling or being deposited as a sediment. Thank you, Nia. And she also gives the definition for infiltration, the seeping of water through the soil after precipitation occurs. All right, so Lamon is saying 1 for number 20, and 1 is what? D. Janice is also saying D. Can you give an explanation in the chat for Gabby says D also? Give an explanation for why you're saying D1. Those who are saying D. So far, I'm seeing three persons saying D. Lamon, Janice, Gabby, and now Victor. So scholars, give me a reason why you chose 1. I want a reason. Okay, so Janice says you are cubing the numbers. Are we going up or down? Ascending or descending?
Descending. Let's go
So
down.
we're descending. So Janice is saying the numbers is the cube of numbers. So 125 is the cube of which number?
Miss 5.
So 5 times 5 times 5 give 125. And
Yes, miss.
64 is the cube of which number?
64 divided the cube. Okay. Miss, I'm coming.
Which number times itself 3 times give 64?
Okay. Let's see.
Gabby says they are square numbers. No, Gabby, they are not square numbers. They are cube numbers. The only square number up there is 64, which is 8 times 8. But 64 is also a cube number. So 125 is 5 cubed, and 64 is 4 cubed. 4 times 4 times 4. 27 is 3 cubed. 3 times 3 times 3. And 8 is 2 cubed. So the next one in the sequence will be 1 cubed. 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. That's how we get 1 as the next number in the sequence. And we have come to the end of our ability test for tonight. Tomorrow we'll have 20 more questions. So Laman just came in with his explanation. It took him some time to type it out, but he's saying they are cubing the numbers. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. And 5 times 5 times 5 is 125, right? And so he's saying the next one, since they are descending, so we want 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. Okay. Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to do 20 more questions and making ourselves sharp, staying on top of things, right? Okay. So I'll see you scholars tomorrow then.
All right. 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we've gone over 8 by 5 minutes. What didn't you understand? Who was saying they didn't understand something?
Miss, seriously. Miss, I thought they were just going down. Miss First, the 125. I know that it was cubed, 5 cubed, and
Mm-hmm.
64. Miss, I know that was eight, eight squared. Miss, but
Squared. So that one mix you up because you know it's a square number. It's also a cube number. 4 times 4 times 4.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So goodbye, scholars. See you tomorrow.
Bye, Miss.
All right. So let me play our schedule. And then what news is Gabby asking me about? What news, Gabby? Gabby say if I hear the news. What news is that? I'm waiting for Gabby to tell me the news. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for Gabby to fill me in on the latest scoop, here's our schedule of classes. Hello, CSEC math students. I know you are busy preparing for your math tests and your CSEC exams coming up. I have a very important question to ask you. Do you like my new hat? Thank you. Now, another important question. Have you ever gotten a math problem wrong simply because of making one little mistake? I'm sure you have, as thousands of other students have. Now, in this series, we're going to be looking at the common mistakes that students make with all the topics in CSET Math. We're going to look at the common errors, demystify everything. Make sure you watch every video in this series so that you can avoid making those mistakes. So stay tuned. Hello scholars. Did you know that most times when students get problems wrong in mathematics is as a result of one single error or one mistake? Well, this is absolutely true, and we're going to be looking at the common errors that students make in the different topics in mathematics. If we know the errors beforehand, we can certainly avoid making them. Are you ready? Come on, take my hand.